If you like what I'm doing and you would like to consider supporting the channel a little more, consider one of the memberships. Or if you look right down below, there's a button that says thanks. Those are super thanks. You can make small donations to the channel. The other thing I got going on in the bottom left corner, there will be links to products that I'm using in the video. If you go to that link and make a purchase, I get a small commission off that. So let's get back to the video. All right, good morning, everybody. Once I get this, I've had my workout this morning. It's about, let's see, 6 o'clock, getting ready to go to work. I've had my workout, fixing to get my breakfast. As soon as I get this breakfast in, I'm gonna start this video. What it's about is I had a problem, big problem, with my Civic. I put it all back together. The guy that had the car before me had mutilated the brake lines on the front going to the proportion valve, and I wanted to put new lines on it, but they've been discontinued, so I figured I could get them on there and address it later. And turns out one of the bottom fittings was leaking, and it leaked all over the firewall and damaged the paint. So I'm going to get down here in the garage and show you what I got going, and this is going to be a long process. So what I'm doing is I'm tucking the brake lines, moving the proportion valve down, getting all off the firewall, having new lines made and everything. So let me get this breakfast in my belly, and we'll get down there and take a look at it. And I'm gonna go through the whole process of doing the line tuck and give you more details as we go. Okay, so let's get down here and into the garage, and I'll show you what's going on with the Civic. There it is. Walk around this way. See, I got braided brake lines ready to go. Those were off the old race car. So as you can see, I got the intake manifold off to give me room. So let me see if I can turn this flash on so you can see it a little better. So this is where the brake proportioning valve was, and I've cleaned it off a little bit, but you can see all this mess right here. That's where it ate the clear coat off. It hadn't got down to the metal yet, thank goodness. So what I'm planning on doing is relocating the proportioning valve. See, I've got it mounted right here on a bracket. I took a bracket from off of a truck from work and fabbed it up to fit there. So the plan is to bend these stock lines. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to throw in a picture here to show you what this looked like when I discovered it, and you'll be able to see what the brake lines look like too. So what I did, I was kind of in a panic when I saw it, so I just cut the brake lines off. They're no good anymore anyway. So I'm gonna shorten these, bend them into the right place, and flare them and put them into the rear output. And then I'm going to have I'm having braided lines made right now. I haven't picked them up yet, but I'm gonna run from these lines to the front brakes and to the master cylinder. So maybe I can see if I can find one of these brake lines. Yeah. So anyway, this is just the start. It's kind of a disaster for me. I've worried myself to death about it. Oh, I've got one more problem too. I've got another spot that's doing the same thing. Right over here on the firewall. Not the firewall, but the shock tower. When I first got the car going, that brake line over there, this is on the right hand side, was leaking just a little bit. I tightened it up and fixed it. Thought I had it cleaned up as good as I can. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. The only other thing that possibly could be is that coil over there has apparently been leaking for a long time. I haven't replaced it yet because I've been spending money on other stuff that was coming down the road. But since this has happened, I went ahead and ordered a set of form function coilovers to get those in there. I'm going to pressure wash that fender well real good and try to get that solved. So I'm going to do another video on the coilover install. But I got to get this back down to Dirty Wizard Paintworks, let them fix this. So I'm going to leave the intake manifold off, but they can't take it till the middle of next month. So that gives me time to get this brake line thing sorted out and the coilovers on, get it all washed up, and hopefully they're going to come in here and sand it out. I've got to take off all those air conditioning lines and everything. That's another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do an air conditioning line tuck, get rid of the ugliness up here. Plus it gives me a bigger condenser so I can have a little bit better air conditioning, because this stock little bitty condenser is not very good. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it. I'm going to draw this. This is going to be a drawn out process. I've had it down for about a week now. I've got all my fittings. Let's go over here and show you what fittings I got. I haven't even got them out of the bag yet. I need to make sure they're going to work. So I just ordered this stuff on Amazon. I was going to order it from Summit Racing, but it was really easier to get it from Amazon. So got the 10mm by 1 inverted flares. I've got a 90. That's going to go on the tight line here at the shock tower on the master cylinder. Let's see. Let me turn this camera around. So there's the 90 10mm inverted flare to -3. And another 90. The other 90 is going to go on the preportioning valve. I can't remember which output. I got it all drawn out somewhere. Another 90, I think, for the proportion valve as well. So the rest should be straight inverted flares. I think there'll be 1 on the master and 2 more on the proportioning valve. There's the inverted flare. I'm not sure that's right. I'm gonna have to look into that. You can see it's a big inverted flare on there. I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't think that's gonna work. Maybe 1 more of those. Yeah, 1 more. And then these are the fittings that go on the stock lines that I'm flaring. So anyway, there you have it. That's the start. This video is going to continue through several steps, and I'll keep you informed on the way, so stay tuned. Okay, so we're back in the garage again. I skipped ahead a little bit because trying to figure this stuff out was a little confusing. So I'm going to turn this camera around and show you where we're at. Okay, so here we go. I've got all my lines hooked up. What I did, I took the proportioning valve I mounted it to a bracket, and it's welded to the stock bracket and bolted to the same bolt that holds the steering rack in. So the proportioning valve is off the firewall now, so hopefully if we have any leaks, it won't be a problem. So I flared, let's see if I can get to it. Can't really see it, but down there the rear lines are flared. I cut those and stripped the black material, insulating material off, and double flared those and put them in the rear output of the proportioning valve. So here we got the right hand side hose is a 3-foot 3AN line, brake line, with a 90 on this end. I'm sorry, a 90 on this end, straight in on the other. And same thing goes for the left side. It's a 2-foot 90 degree on one end, straight on the other. So I've got a here in the fender well, I've got a 10 millimeter by 1 adapter to a 3AN hooked to the stock brake line. Tonight I've got some braided lines to go at the wheels. They go on the calipers that came off my race car. I'm gonna put those on tonight and get this thing bled. But anyway, the other two lines are 2-foot 90 on the straight end on the proportioning valve, 90 degrees on the other end. So each one of these 4 fittings has 10 millimeter by 1 inverted flare to a -3. So I ran this right hand side down. It's tied to the steering column, goes up, and I'm going to be taking all this wiring out and the air conditioning lines. I'm going to do an air conditioning tuck to get it away for it, and then I'll be routing that brake line down a little tighter and get all that cleaned up. But these are just simply tied together here, and here they go to the master. See if I can remember which one's which. I think this one is the front output. It's the same deal, 10 millimeter by 1 to -3 line. Now that 90 is pretty close, but it should be fine. And then the 10 millimeter by 1 to -3, and it goes into the input lines from the master cylinder. So that's where okay, so that's where we're at. The plan is tonight to get my braided lines at the wheels, and I'm gonna get my wife, the pit chick, to come out here and help me bleed it, and then all I gotta do is put my intake manifold and it should be back on the road. Now, one more thing is where the firewall was a problem. I cut those 3 studs off that was holding the proportioning valve, because I don't need those anymore, and just grind them smooth. Pretty much just wiped down the clear coat that had been eaten up and sprayed a little white paint on it to get it by until I can get it back to the body shop. So on to the next step. So I guess we're just on to the next step now, and hopefully I'll have this thing back on the road before the weekend. So stay tuned. All right, everybody, so back to the next chapter in my brake tuck disaster, debacle, whatever you want to call it. I made the next step, so let me turn this camera around. I'll show you what I got going on. There it is. So today, it's Saturday. I'm off today. I've already been out doing some crawling with RC cars, and I figured I'd get back here and mess with this. So I've got my new brake proportioning valve, an OEM one, and got it, all the lines ran and plumbed up, and it is not leaking. So what I did, I went ahead and got the pressure washer out, pressure washed all that, made sure it wasn't leaking anymore. Went in the fender well. Of course, I've already set it down, you can't see it. Went all 4 fender wells and pressure washed that out. Simple green, and pressure washed it, and I came in and cleaned everything in here. So looks like we're good to go now. All I gotta do is put the intake manifold back on, and we're back in business. So once we got this intake manifold on, we'll see how much better the brake tuck looks. And I'm going to do the same thing with the fuel lines, get those tucked and out of the way, and as well as the AC lines. I haven't charged the AC lines yet, so I'm going to do an AC tuck, which gives me a bigger condenser and a couple more fans. Anyway, that's where we're at. Hopefully next one I show you will be with intake manifold and back on the road again. Okay, so I finally got it all sorted out. Let me turn this camera around and I'll show you what it looks like. So I got all of it back together. Still got a lot of things I'm going to do, but if you look down in there, you can see the preportioning valve all tucked up out of the way, so the firewall's a little cleaner without that on there. I've got a few other things like that. I got that hole in the firewall. I don't know what was originally there. It was cruise control hole, I think. And then my next project is going to be get the stock fuel filter mount off the wall. So I'm going to cut and flare that line down there and tuck a nice fuel filter down there and a better fuel rail to clean all that up. And I got to start working on the wiring harness and everything too. And then also I'm going to do the air conditioning tuck. So we'll get rid of all this condenser ugliness here and all of those lines there. It's going to route the lines around through the fenders and have a big condenser here, so it should be a little better. So I'm excited to have my car back. It's kind of a disaster, so let me flip it around one more time. So temporarily I sanded down the firewall. I cut those studs off and just threw some white paint on there until it can get in the body shop. So I'm gonna let the guys down at Dirty Wizard Paintworks fix that. So, but it's good to go. So it's good to go for now. I'm ready to start driving it again. Let me shut the hood down. One more thing. I got it back together and I had this major oil leak. I'm sorry, fuel leak. Seems like every time I work on this car, something else leaks. So the banjo fitting where it goes in the fuel rail was leaking like crazy. I've been using the same crush washers forever, and I guess it was about time for them to go. So I went and got some crush washers at the store, tightened it down. It's still leaking just a little bit. I took the nut off, took it and put it on some sandpaper stuck to the table where it's flat and smoothed it out, and really cranked on it down. I guess it cranked those crush washers down and got them to seal up. So let's go over here and shut this hood. So I got it pulled in here in the garage. Because all this crap is falling off the trees. Let's see all that stuff out in the driveway. I've blown it off every day. It keeps coming back. I had a car out there and it was all falling down inside the car and in the engine bay and everything. So I got it pulled in here just a little bit, but got it all cleaned up and ready to drive to work tomorrow. So this video was kind of spread out, just problem after problem. I got it all sorted out and I'm going to be driving it again starting tomorrow, and still a work in progress. So stay tuned. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time.